Welcome to Education World. Today we have with us Mr. Manoj Madhavan Kutty. He is the Director of Admission and Administration at SRM University, Sonipat, Haryana. SRM University is featured among the top universities in the education world rankings, and the university, offers courses in a range of disciplines, from engineering and technology to management and studies and commerce, finance, hotel management, science, and also humanity. Welcome, Mr. Kutty.
Very good, Reshma. Pleasure to have this wonderful afternoon.
How did SRM University cope with this pandemic forced closure of educational institutions? And, can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that you encountered when you had to do a shift to online education?
Legacy of 50 years in the education field. And the brainchild behind this very campus, I remember by 2012, when government wanted to establish an education hub in the country, that's where the government actually approached SRM group of institutions, and that's why the entire SRM University Sonipat came into existence. So fortunately, I would say that we were able to manage the pandemic. Of course, there was a lot of challenges indeed, but there were a lot of positivity also. When it was almost the end of first wave, we had more than a dozen cases within the university campus. So first thing what we did was we completely made sure that not a single student is ill. So we intimated the respective parents, and we also have some international students. That was the biggest challenge. Thankfully, Government of India helped a lot. The embassies helped a lot. We were able to send almost every student, and luckily we had very few students and not a single student is having any fatal issues. However, when I talk about the faculties, yes, there has been very bitter news. We even have a few deaths happening in the university. But again, thankfully, as a brand, we had this backup from NASSCOM, where they provided a platform called as Future Skills University. And then we also immediately signed an MOU with Cisco WebEx for our entire online teaching and assessment. And but there are some positivity also that I would like to share. The usual average attendance percentage was on a physical mode was somewhere between 80 to 85%. When the moment we went to Cisco WebEx, we were initially scared. We were skeptical if actually people would be attending. But to my surprise, you won't believe me, we had almost close to 90% of the people attending online. So technically speaking, our average attendance of the university went up in the history. There's always opportunity that comes with the challenge, right? So we saw it as an opportunity. UGC has already declared that 40% of the curriculum can be delivered completely online. And this is not because of pandemic. This is going to be there, and now it's a pandemic has just pushed us in speeding up the digitalization process. So I welcome this move, and I think this pandemic has, even though it's very unfortunate, it has come at the right time where good institutions are able to quickly adapt and become digitalized, because this is the need of the.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, when we're talking about the good institutions, right? I think courses make a lot of difference, the kind of courses that they have to offer. So when it comes to SRM Sonipat, what are the most sought after courses? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, sure. So, SRM as a group is known for its engineering and technology education, right? So indeed, the trend is following here at Sonipat campus also. We have one of the most sought after courses are on AI. So that's a hot cake, and we are almost done with the admissions also for that particular program. The results are not even out, but we are almost filling 2 batches of students, and we do not know what happens when the actual result comes out because we don't have admissions in these programs. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but fortunately for us, it's a very good program. Then we have got a program on BTech in computer science specialization in blockchain and IoT. So blockchain IoT, it's also coming up really good, and there are a lot of takers. Besides that, we also have some of the courses like cloud engineering and DevOps, mobile-based app development, robotics and automation. And of late, we also started a few new age courses like BSc in food technology, And we started another BSc in agriculture also, because we believe this is the right time that we need to infuse technology and agriculture. So I see a lot of inclination towards these technology-driven courses. But on the other hand, we are not compromising with the traditional courses. So what we have done is, when you talk about law, what we have done is we started something called as choice-based credit system, where a law student can actually learn about blockchain or know about AI. So nowadays, if you see in the US, we are trying to adapt and practice the best models of pedagogy. What they do is through AI. For example, a legal profession, through AI, it can predict what kind of judgment would be out for this case based on the precedences. Because before there are enough precedences and cases. So based on those case studies, AI is able to predict a judgment. So there's not even need of a judge. It predicts it in advance. So when you talk about blockchain, any kind of document can be signed through a blockchain in a very secure environment. So blockchain is going to be very useful as well.
Correct. So, when we're discussing contemporary choices, digital and skill integrated courses are something that is most sought after of late. So can you tell us about your plans to include more subjects in this area?
Yeah. So thankfully, we have this industry and the international advisory boards. So what happens is SRM updates its curriculum on year basis. Unfortunately, last year we actually did not do that. But what we have done is we have carefully taken use of the time in this very pandemic. And what we have done is we ensured that each and every course is infused with digital and other kind of skills. As I already told you, law program, imagine they're working on AI and blockchain. Now, if you talk about agriculture, we are trying to understand how technology can drive agriculture, be it IoT. So we take IoT as a project and we say how we can test the pH level of the soil, the humidity and everything. It's ultimately sensors, like it's electronics. And there is a technology to measure that and gauge that. So what we have done is we have taken all the curriculum and we have ensured that through this UGC also came up with a new regulation called as LOCF, so which is called Learning Outcome-Based Curriculum Framework. So your curriculum framework is not just more towards degree-oriented approach, it's more towards learning, it's more towards practical implementation. So without technology, that is not possible. So we are able to do that quite handsomely.
Okay, that's interesting. And so you ranked among the top private universities in Haryana, and your score is particularly high in the area of research and innovation. So what does SRM do to, give students that extra push to, to push them to pursue research?
Yeah. So the first and foremost thing that you see SRM University as a different campus is because, first of all, it's a state private university. And we are not affiliated with other university, or we are not a college or an institute, right? We are a full-fledged university. So many people don't understand that difference. So in university is where research happens. So there is a college where education happens, where you study for a few years and you get your degree. And usually colleges do not have a PhD program. If you see SRM University, Sonipat campus, we are known for research. We call ourselves as a research-driven university. Yes. And the reason is we have created a beautiful system called as mentor-mentee system. Because the traditional learning, if you see how it happens, it's called as in those days when I used to study, or probably you were studying, we had something called as unidirectional learning. So teacher comes and tells you, and then you have to hear to the teachers or the lecturers that they write your exam. So that's a unidirectional vertical approach. What probably little bit of people who are currently still we can say we underwent the transformation where it was a bi-way learning, where a student teaches and you are expected to ask doubts and clarify. You ask or not, it's different. But you were given a chance. People are more free to express their opinions. You could challenge the concepts, theories, and so on. That's a bi-directional, but again, vertical learning. Okay. But Reshma, let me tell you something very interesting happening across the globe. And SRM has been able to successfully implement that model, which is called as horizontal peer learning, which was probably absent in our days. See, imagine Reshma, if you and I were classmates, if we sit in class, it is not just the faculty that will just train you and evaluate you. It is going to be your peers. So for an example, we expect that you should come up with a presentation or a solution to a problem. And you are asked to put it in front, you are asked to pitch your idea or you present in front of your classmates. And your classmates will actually gauge your performance based on your content, your confidence, the way of approach, the convincibility, and they are going to grade you. And that grade is going to go into your semester marks. So imagine it's a 360 the information is flowing from all directions. So you're getting the peer learning. And thankfully, since we have the PhD programs, we have created a mentor-mentee system. I told you about a system that is working good.
Yes.
So through mentor-mentee system, what we do is, for every PhD scholar, there is a bunch of UG people. Okay. Like us for a PG, for example, if you're an MBA student, you have a bunch of BBA folks under you.
Okay.
We don't encourage them to do ragging. What I'm trying to say is, this mentor-mentee system is creating a beautiful bond between seniors and juniors, where they're actually working together on projects, and we mandate it. It is not like you have an option, but you have to have it. And we ensure that the seniors who put in their work, they're also having some kind of an edge over others. We give them small gifts, or we tell them the best mentor award is there. So through this, what happens? So obviously, student will move from a degree-oriented approach, not just in terms of getting a degree at the end of 3 or 4 years, but what we motivate them to do is to probably work with the seniors and actually solve the real life problem. So this is how research part is embedded. One last thing I would like to add, one more thing. We also have industry partners like Siemens, who have established a lab worth 36 crores.
Okay.
And there is also another collaboration with Bosch. So Bosch has given us a beautiful center of excellence, which is completely free of cost for the university. Why industries are doing this? Not just because they have a CSR fund, they dump it here, right? So they believe SRM is a brand where they can actually motivate people to do research. And let me tell you, we are only the second in the entire country to be recognized by as a CSIRO. CSIRO means Scientific and Industrial Research Organization.
Okay.
We have been recognized by DSIR.
Okay.
This is Department of Scientific Industries. They have recognized this campus, only second in the country, as a center for research and organization. So we have also established Institution Innovation Council, which is called IAC, which is also a mandate of MHRD. So these are all some of, I can keep on and on to talk about research, but we have some limitations. I'm sure once you see the website, there's going to be a lot of information, particularly about research, because that is what makes university stand itself out from a college. Certainly.
So, can you tell us the kind of impact that the pandemic has had on placements, whether it is the scenario in India or whether it is globally? What is it that students can expect this year?
Sure. So see, we believe in rigorous learning and consistent training to students. So placement never really has been a big problem for SRM, at least. So because our placement cell is run by a very dynamic team, and what, honestly speaking, there has been some decline in trends. For example, we have hotel management course. There is a trend in admissions also. There's a trend in taking, employability also. But if you see overall, actually in core areas like IT or even law, there is still a lot of demand. There's still a lot of scope. And I can actually see people who are from non-technical, thanks to the digital transformation, and we are also inhibiting few courses. Technically speaking, this is what other universities should do. The moment we did this, actually we see that a lot of demand is still there for technology-oriented courses. So it is believed that the courses will eventually gain momentum once the pandemic situation improves. And I'm sure this is a global phenomenon. It's not just India. So in those days, we used to have some international placements also.
Okay.
But right now it is happening, but it is happening, mostly online. And that all IT industry, that Zomato went IPO now, so they're still growing. So any industry that's based on technology has actually survived in this pandemic.
Students and parents are obviously an anxious lot this year because of the pandemic situation, in particular when it comes to college admissions.
Yeah.
You are the director of admissions here. So what is the message you would like to give students who want to pursue higher education now?
See, what I would say is that almost all good universities have started their admission process,
Okay.
right? And I already told you that some of the sought after course, I can see that it's almost getting filled.
Hmm.
There is a lot of fear and stress among students. But what we would like to tell you is that good institutions have already started, teaching online for almost close to 2 years now. So we know exactly what we are doing, and I'm sure no matter which part of the country you are, if you want to get into one particular institution, I don't think a distance or pandemic is really going to matter. And this year is going to be really advantageous for the student because you see, first of all, they don't need to pay for their logistics, right? Second, imagine they are opting for a hostel, so costs have gone down. Universities have slashed some of the prices. They have waived off. For example, there are some universities charge for sports facility, uniforms, this, and there are multiple other hidden charges. So this year, trust me, pandemic has ensured that the minimum burden on the student. Of course, learning itself is a burden, but trust me, students anyway, even if pandemic was not there, they are hooked to their phones for a few hours a day, right? See, average screen time is almost 6 to 7 hours per day. I'm talking about average. Youngsters, I'm not even talking about young people now. So I don't think it is going to be bad sitting at home and learning. Yes, there are a few challenges like some core courses, like let's say mechanical engineering, where there is a need for someone to be in the lab. But see, India is getting very good in terms of vaccination. We have vaccinated all. For example, I am doubly vaccinated. My complete vaccination is over. And most of my faculty, we did 2 drives already, 2 vaccination drives. We're all vaccinated here. So, and government has, Haryana government and the central government has also come up with a plan that students can be called to the campus by following the COVID protocols. Already we are opening up. School people are opening up. So even though, and what AIMS director has predicted, even though third wave is definitely going to be here, it is no way going to be impacting us like the way it has done in the second wave.
Got it.
And eventually we will end up forgetting COVID as a catastrophic, let's say morbid disease, to a more like a common flu or a cold what we have today. So trust me, the future is bright. Rather than being scared at, some people think of dropping a year. Some people think of, staying at home and confined into the spaces. Don't do that. Right? So because I can see that many...
I think it's better have an optimistic approach. So can you tell us a little bit about the expansion plans of your university?
Yeah, I think that's also a very important question. We were planning to start, our medical college by this year, but unfortunately, because of COVID, it got a little bit delayed. So, but we are very certain. I'm very glad to say that we already got the NOC from Medical Council of India. So we have got the NOC to establish a medical college. So, and I can see just now I've asked my people to stop the construction plan because of the pandemic. It has now become an opportunity to construct many things at fast pace. Because usually what happens when we want to construct a block, when the class is going on, we can't do that. We have to wait in the evening. Then we have to call laborers to work that time. Thankfully, because of pandemic, we are working 24/7. There is no interruption. So buildings are coming up very fast. We are coming up with 2 new academic block. We are starting with the hospital also. Already we have a hospital, but we are going to expand it more. So the construction is happening at a very fast pace. So next year, I'm very confident that we'll have also MBBS, because that's the only course missing. If you talk about as an overall group level expansion, we have been also hinted. I am being apprised that there is a possibility of off-campus outside India also, because yeah. But again, because it's just because of pandemic that I won't say it has stopped us. It has just stalled us for a moment. And what it has actually done is it has actually given us time to plan better, because a good plan strategy is 50% of the work done. I believe strongly in that as an admission director.
So have you finalized on the location for the new campus?
No, the MBBS course will be within this very campus. It's just an expansion within the same university. But when we talk about other expansions, there is a talk that we might have a campus in Gujarat very soon. Because if you see, We have a campus in Chennai, we have a campus in UP, we have a campus in Northeast Sikkim. So West India is somehow still unexplored. There is a plan to have another campus somewhere outside India, somewhere in the Middle East. You already see that VIT, SP Jain, Amity already has a campus in Dubai or Ras Al Khaimah. And we were approached earlier also, but we were happy with Indian operations. But it's a competition, it's a compulsion that probably we might start some campus outside India very soon. And already I would like to share one more thing. Thanks to the new education policy, we are being approached by University of Oxford to collaborate with us. So we might have a small campus in collaboration in London also. That is also in talk. But that is not going to be a full-fledged university. It is rather going to be a B school or one particular school under the University of Oxford in collaboration with them. So these are some of the plans. Let's hope the international travel resumes and we all see more campuses across the globe. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kutty, for joining us. I think this is a very positive note to end the discussion on, and I'd like to thank you for joining us again.
Likewise, it's been my pleasure, Reshma, and you asked the right questions, and I hope I was able to do a bit of justice to that.